Oops. Still not that. Record. Okay.
Recording started.
All right. So we're on our way. We're recording. 11:30 right on the dot. So, all right. Welcome everybody to geography. Hope everybody's doing well. I did put in zeros not too long ago. So if you accidentally missed the assignment, please go back and do it. You can still get credit for it, and you can go there. Okay. So make sure you go back and do those ones that you haven't done. Okay, couple things. What we're going to be going over today, we are now into Central America, okay? And we're going to talk a lot about poverty and some reasons why. If you remember, in North America, we talked about why people are coming to the United States. And now we're going to be talking about why they are wanting to get out of Central America, okay? And most of you guys, most people don't know, it's not Mexico that's the one that is, everybody from Mexico is coming over. It's these Central American countries are the ones that are coming into the United States. Okay, so, but first let's talk about the physical features of Central America. Central America is really beautiful. You do have a lot of volcanoes, though. We're going to talk in a little bit here why there are so many volcanoes and so many big mountains on that area. And then it's also very diverse, where it has a lot of tropical rainforest, and you're going to see animals that you're going to see in some places that you don't see anywhere in the world. Okay, like this frog here, right? You're not going to see this frog in your backyard. I see some frogs in my backyard, but they don't look like this. They're not that color green. These ones are pretty cool. All right, so let's talk about why you can find like these animals in this area. And a lot of it is because of the way the Earth rotates around the sun and where it hits. So you have in the center of the Earth, if you just cut it horizontally, you have the equator that runs through there. And the sun is directly hitting this at the equinox, the summer and winter equinox. And then it goes back and forth by directly hitting either the Tropic of Cancer, which is 23.5 degrees north, or the Tropic of Capricorn, which is 23.5 degrees south. Okay, and so basically, if it is directly on the Tropic of Cancer, basically that's going to be our summer, okay, because we're going to have more light during the day, and we'll have a summer right there. When it hits the equator, we're going to either have fall or spring, and when it's the Tropic of Capricorn, as we're going into right now, we're going into winter, so it's going to start becoming darker and not have as much light there. But because this area gets sun so much, you start seeing and it has a lot of moisture as well because it's by the ocean, that kind of stuff. You start seeing animals that you do not see, like here in Utah or other parts of the United States, like this bird right here. I don't even know what kind of animal that is. I should probably say, does anybody know what? Is anybody a big animal lover and know what animal this is to the bottom right there? It's kind of like a monkey. I don't know exactly. Maybe it's a flying monkey, who knows. We're just going to call it a monkey. I know there is some specific name for it, so if anybody knows it, you just shout. Lemur. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, very good. Okay, let's talk about why South America has so much mountainous areas, okay? And it is because you have something called the Ring of Fire, okay, as I'm kind of outlining there with my sun. So the Ring of Fire is, okay, so somebody says it is a lemur. It's a red-bellied lemur. Perfect. Thank you, Tanner. So basically, you have plate tectonics, and they're moving around there, and you have the biggest plate, which is called the Pacific Plate, that's right in the Pacific Ocean. But basically, it goes up like all the the islands of like Tonga and over by Australia. It goes all the way up to Japan, all the way through Alaska, down California, and it goes all the way down that little isthmus. So it's an isthmus is what it's called, that little area that connects North and South America. And that's where you find most, because there's two plates coming up to it, that's where you find most of your volcanic activity, most of your earthquakes, all of that kind of stuff. That's where those fault lines are, okay? So somebody said the Ring of Fire isn't even a ring. Not really, but that's what they call it. It kind of comes that way. They just call it the Ring of Fire because that's just kind of where all of those volcanoes and earthquake and seismic activity happen in that area. And so you'll know like the Andes Mountains kind of comes down this area as well of South America. We'll talk about those as well. And you have some of the highest elevations in the world. I mean, you have your Rocky Mountains that flow through here, right? And they're big things. On here, you're going to have certain mountains that are really, really high, and you have volcanic activity. And so you're going to have natural disasters that can kind of happen at that point in time. So earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, the volcanic eruptions can also, or the volcanic eruptions and the earthquakes can also cause tsunamis and all those other things. So they get hit all the time, and they also have the impact of hurricanes to hit them as well. Okay, because you have cold and warm water that are coming together. So even though it's a beautiful, beautiful place to live, and Central America is one of my favorite places to visit, it's not so much good for natural disasters. Okay, and so as I said here before, you have hurricanes that come and they develop in the Caribbean. Okay, so the Caribbean's part of it. So if you watch the last recording on Wednesday, the recorded class, it talks about how like the Caribbean, kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean, right? So that's where all that was located. You have like Puerto Rico, Cuba, Jamaica, Cayman Islands, all those places. That is where those are. That's no hurricane. That's a fidget spinner. I like that. Yeah, maybe there, but if you've ever been in a hurricane before or seen the destruction of a hurricane, you wouldn't say that very much. There's not really, because we have our mountains that protect us. We're not going to see hurricanes or tornadoes around this area. Okay, so what it causes a lot of destruction, okay? As you can see right here, these people, they're having to rebuild their homes. I don't know if you've heard about Puerto Rico. They've been hit by hurricanes the last couple years, and they just keep having to rebuild, and it's really caused big damage for them. Also, one of the things, because they get a lot of rain, they have a lot of like mudslides and stuff like that, and so they kind of do that. Okay, so let's hit up here. Sorry, I was trying to read the chat too at the same time. I'll get to your guys' private chats as soon as I can, so I apologize if I can't get to them soon. So one of the most interesting things that we've done is, before, we've always wanted to find a way to get to California. You had, like, in Utah, you probably learned, if you took Utah history, you had the pioneers, right, that went and trekked across the whole United States. That was a hard time of thing. And so what happens is people would have to go, and they'd have to leave. If they didn't want to travel on ground, they'd have to travel from New York and go all around South America and go all the way back to San Francisco, which is a long trip. So what they actually did is they cut a path right through, and they call it the Panama Canal. So the Panama Canal, this is what it looks like right here in this picture to their left. And basically a boat comes in, and they'll go and they'll kind of bring it down and kind of bring it up, and you can go and they can go through that. So this will be to answer your question about quizzes. So this will be for quiz, I believe, 8. Let me check real quick. I'm waiting for that to, I'll wait for my little thing to come up, my calendar. But I believe this information will be on quiz 8. Okay. So that's the next quiz. You do have quiz 7 that is due today too, but that's from the recorded class on Wednesday. So hopefully that helps out. Yep, quiz 8. I'm on the right path, somewhat, most of the time. All right. So, I mean, it was just kind of a long trip. So here is a story. I'm just going to tell you a little story. And this would be your exit ticket, but I got a different kind of assignment for you on your exit ticket at the very end. So make sure you stay around and grab that. So there used to be a pirate. We talked about the Pirates of the Caribbean just a second ago. But there used to be a pirate called Sir Francis Drake. He was from England. And if you remember, and we're going to talk about a little bit more, that you had the Mayan and the Inca population that had a lot of gold over here in the Americas. And so what happened was the Spanish came in and they invaded and they took all of these guys' gold. And so what happened was that they would go and they'd ship that gold back to Spain. Well, Sir Francis Drake came in and they intercepted one of these Spanish ships. And so what happened is when they got that, they intercepted the ship and got all the gold from it. They went and Spain found out about this, and so Drake was in trouble. If he were to come back this way, back to England, he would not be able to make it because the Spanish would intercept him and basically kill all his crew. So what he decided to do is he decided to just keep going west. So he actually was the first one that we know of that went all the way around South America. They believe he landed in San Francisco area and then went across the Pacific Ocean to Asia, all the way Africa, and it took him about 3 years to accomplish that journey. At that time, everybody thought he was dead, but they were able to last that long, and he got to England again and got made a Sir, and that. So, kind of an interesting story about Sir Francis Drake. So somebody said that we should insert the Pirates of the Caribbean theme song. That'd be cool. I like Pirates of the Caribbean. They keep coming out with them. I don't even know how many they're on right now. It's crazy. All right, let's go, and we're going to move on to the people of Central America. Okay, so you have a big mixture, okay, of cultures here. Okay, so you had the Spanish that came in. So from Spain, they came in and they found these Native Americans that were living there. Mostly the Mayan culture was living there. And they basically, a lot of the Spanish decided to stay there and colonize. And so a lot of the descendants of those ones are part Spanish as well as part Native American down there. And so they call it the Mestizo, and I can't even say it right, culture, okay? And a lot of them are like that. Yep, so the Mayans were a lot of the ones that were in Central America. All right, I'm just reading you guys' chats. You guys are funny. So here is a person in traditional Native American dress there, as you can kind of see. And they still kind of live that culture of living off the land, growing for their own selves. Okay, so I'm going to open up the poll question real quick. Okay, so A, B, C, or D. Okay, what ethnicity of most of the people of Central America are? Okay, so I want you to put that in the chat. Is it A, Spanish, B, Mayan, C, Native American, or mixed Native American and Spanish, or D, Portuguese? right. I was just answered some of your private chats real quick. Okay, 3, 2, 1. All right. Okay, so hopefully you're listening to me. It looks like most of you were. But it is, yes, Native American and Spanish were both. Okay, they went and they kind of mixed races there. Okay. All right, let's kind of talk a little bit about Mayan life. Okay, so those were the ones that had the Native Americans there. They lived in areas of Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. And they made these beautiful pyramids. Some people think they stole like the concept from ancient Egypt, but we just don't know how they got that concept and it kind of traveled over there. But they made these awesome pyramids that you can go down. You can still visit them today, and I've been to some of them. But they from all that we know, they worshipped many different gods. Their religion did. So they were what's called polytheistic. They had like gods for the rain, gods for the sun, god for the corn. And they did a lot of what's called slash and burn farming, which means they just cleared path by they burnt the area, and then they were able to take that soil, because there's a lot of nutrients in it then, and then be able to grow things for themselves. But they had a very sophisticated culture, and if you look into it, it's very cool. Yeah, so somebody said they've been to Chichen Itza. Yes, that's one of the big pyramids, and that's where they believe they had blood sacrifices. So they used to sacrifice people there. So kind of a little crazy. Wouldn't want to be that person. And it used to be like a very big honor to be sacrificed there. So maybe it's like the structural integrity. Yep. So pyramids last a long, long time. One of the most steady structures you can have in the world. There's a mine exhibit in the Natural History Museum by the U. Very cool. That'd be awesome to have a little field trip out there to go do that. Yeah, it's one of the places. So I've been to Chichen Itza. I want to go to Tulum. I haven't been there yet. And there's also some other ones. They're very kind of beautiful down there, and you can learn so much about their culture and the things that they did back at that time. Okay, let's have another poll question. I'm just going to change it to the green check or X real quick for you. So green check would be true, red check would be false. The Aztecs were conquered by the Spanish within a year, but it took over 20 years to conquer the Mayans. Is that true or false? Is that true or false? Okay, so the question that is true. Okay, so very good. So it didn't take very long for them to conquer the things. So somebody was saying false. Yeah, so okay, I did mix this question up. I should change it. I'm sorry. So the Aztecs lived in South America. So the answer would actually be false. I apologize. I'm horrible at this. So yeah, it would be false. So I need to change that. I didn't look at it very well. So the Aztecs lived in South America. We're going to talk about them. But the Mayans, they were more close to the ocean, and they did it there. So false would be the answer. So do not put false on or true if that's one of your questions. Okay. All right. As we're going on, we talked a little bit about planting crops. Okay. So the people here. Oh man, we got a lot to get through. I better hurry. They have a lot of crops that they grow, and that's how they survive. So yeah, so coffee beans are there. They also cocoa for chocolate. They also have all those different things. They kind of grow there. Let me kind of skip through here real quick. Okay, let me change the little poll things real quick so we can answer this question. Okay, why do foreign investors hesitate to invest in Central America? Okay, so this is kind of a good question that will lead to there. There's a lack of worthy projects, no apparent need, government corruption, or lack of education. Okay, so let's give you a second to answer that. Okay, so most of you are correct. It is C, government corruption. Okay, unlike the United States, the governments are so corrupt down there. If we have foreign aid, so like meaning the United States brings in money to to these countries, it's usually taken up and ran by either like the drug cartels or people that just want their own money, and so it's a really hard time being able to get it to the people that needs to get help, that needs help down there, and that's why they're so poor. I would go on. I would talk about, if we had time, about the Cuban Missile Crisis. If you don't know about that, it's just basically where we kind of did what's called the embargo, so we don't trade with Cuba, and it really hurt Cuba for a long, long time. We started to open up relations now, but there's a lot that kind of goes into that, so kind of skip that. Let's answer this question real quick. It says, in most Central American countries, what portion of the population is considered poor? Okay, so that means they don't have enough money to eat, that kind of stuff. Okay, and the correct answer real quick is over half. Over half the people live in poverty. They're unable to provide for themselves, have enough to eat, or sleep, and that's a lot of the reason why they're moving to Mexico and then trying to get to the United States as well. Okay, so you have all these people that are fleeing in, and you kind of look at this one right now, and this is kind of a hot topic that I guess President Trump has brought up, what he's wanting to build a wall. Whether you feel good about that or not, it's up to you, but that's why they're moving in, and we're going to continue to talk about why all these people are just going into these different countries. And some of them go by boat. There's a lot of different ways they come into the United States. Okay, we're going to skip that question right there, which leads us to our exit ticket. Okay, so our exit ticket is different here. I got to throw this out to you. Okay, I want to explain this before I just throw you off. I'm going to post it in the chat real quick. So I have an instructional coach, which is a person. Well, actually, let me stop the recording.